February 14th, 2025, Gold Coast, Australia. Valentine's Day fireworks light up the skyline over Surfer's Paradise. In a $25 million penthouse at the Oracle Towers, a 42-year-old Chinese casino boss named Simon Liang steps onto his balcony for a cigar. 30 seconds later, he's falling 38 floors. Security cameras catch two men in black tracksuits calmly walking out the private elevator, one carrying a silenced pistol. The only thing left on the marble floor is a single red envelope with 3 gold characters, 14K. Half a world away, in a quiet Tokyo suburb, a senior Yakuza Oyabun receives a photograph on an encrypted phone. Liang's body on the pavement. The caption is simple: Happy Valentine's Day from Sydney-gumi. This is the silent war nobody in Australia wants to admit is happening. Japanese Yakuza versus Chinese Triads, fighting for control of the most lucrative criminal real estate on Earth. Casinos, ice, property, and an entire continent that still thinks it's too far away to matter. If you thought the Triads and Yakuza only existed in movies, stay with me for the next 10 minutes. Because right now, in 2025, Australia is the new battleground for the 2 most sophisticated crime syndicates in history. Smash that like button if you're ready to see how the Pacific just became the new Pacific Rim of blood. Subscribe and hit the bell, because this war doesn't make headlines until the bodies hit the sand. It started with ice. Australia has the highest per capita methamphetamine consumption on the planet. 1 gram costs more in Sydney than in Tokyo, Hong Kong, or Los Angeles. That's pure profit. When China cracked down on precursor chemicals in 2019, the price exploded. Someone had to fill the vacuum. Enter the Chinese Triads, Sun Yian, 14K, Big Circle Boys, moving entire shipping containers hidden inside construction materials for the endless Sydney apartment boom. They partnered with the Vietnamese Cabramatta crews and the Lebanese Brotherhood. By 2022, they owned the ports. Then the Yakuza arrived. Not the old-school finger-cutting Yamaguchi-gumi from the 90s. This is the new generation, the Kobe-based Kodakai, the Tokyo Inagawa-kai, and most importantly, the Sydney-gumi, a special overseas unit created exclusively for Australia. They don't wear pinstripe suits and missing pinkies anymore. They wear R.M. Williams boots, drive Toyota Land Cruisers, and speak perfect Strine. Their soldiers are second-generation Japanese Australians who grew up in Melbourne private schools and learned the family business on university holidays in Osaka. The Yakuza brought something the Triads didn't expect: patience and precision. While the Triads moved volume, the Yakuza moved money. They bought entire floors of Crown Casino in Melbourne and Star Casino in Sydney through legitimate front companies. They laundered through Japanese restaurants, sushi trains, and ramen shops that never seem to have customers but somehow stay open 24/7. They invested in Queensland cattle stations and Barossa Valley wineries. They became invisible. The first shots were quiet. 2021. A Triad-linked money career disappears on the Gold Coast with $42 million in cash. Never found. 2022. A Yakuza lieutenant is pulled from Sydney Harbour with concrete boots. Police call it suicide. 2023. Crown Casino VIP rooms start seeing Japanese hosts replacing Cantonese ones overnight. 2024. A Triad ice lab in rural Victoria burns to the ground. Arson. No fingerprints. Then came the bodies. February 2025. Simon Liang, the 14K money man in charge of Queensland. March 2025. A Yamaguchi-gumi finance chief is poisoned in a Perth sushi restaurant with pufferfish toxin. April 2025. A Sun Yeon red pole is found in the boot of his own Bentley at Sydney Airport long-term parking. No drive-bys, no public shootouts, just professionals doing professional work. Australian police call it the Silent War. The Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission admits they're outmatched. The Triads have the numbers, tens of thousands of members and associates. The Yakuza have the discipline, a 400-year-old code that still demands loyalty above life. The battlefield is luxury. Crown Resorts, Star Entertainment, the $10 billion casino industry is the crown jewel. Whoever controls the high-roller rooms controls the money laundering for the entire Pacific. Billions flow through baccarat tables every year. Junket operators, once dominated by Macau Chinese, are now split 50-50 between Tokyo and Hong Kong interests. And the Australian government? They looked the other way for decades because the casinos paid taxes and built skyscrapers. Now they're waking up to find the skyscrapers are owned by ghosts. In 2025, the war is colder than ever. Triad soldiers wear Alberts and carry Canadian passports. Yakuza soldiers drink flat whites and coach junior rugby on weekends. Both sides recruit from the same universities, UNSW, Melbourne, Bond. Both sides use the same accountants in Martin Place. Both sides attend the same charity galas on Sydney Harbour. The only difference is the envelope left behind. Red for Triad, white for Yakuza. Australia thought it was too far from Asia to matter. Turns out distance just made it the perfect neutral ground for two empires that can't fight at home anymore. The ice keeps flowing. The casinos keep spinning. The bodies keep disappearing. And somewhere in a quiet beach house on the Sunshine Coast, an old Yakuza Oyabun and a Triad Dragonhead are probably drinking sake and baijiu together, toasting to the one thing they agree on. Australia is big enough for both of them, as long as one side learns who really owns the table. Tell me in the comments, when the two most dangerous organizations in Asia fight on your soil and nobody hears the shots, who wins? The Yakuza discipline or the Triad numbers? Like this video if Australia just became the most interesting place on Earth. Subscribe for more silent wars and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we go somewhere the sun doesn't shine. Stay safe down under. The dragons and the rising sun never sleep.